Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. And in this video, we're going to talk about our upcoming plans for the next month and all of the books that we hope to read in the month of April.
Hey guys, welcome to April TBR. I have a pile, as you can see next to me, that I plan on reading in April. I don't feel I did as well in March. I feel I'm doing well overall for the year, but March, I did not get to as many as I had listed, but I remember I had way too many on that list. And I probably have less than last month, but I probably still have too many this month. And what tends to happen, other books that I see that I want to read end up kicking something off the TBR. What can you do? I am definitely a mood reader. It's just life as I know it for my reading habits. I'm going to start with my empty pouch for our secret read. The reason why it's empty is I think the book that I want to read is going to be on a Edelweiss ebook. I haven't completely chosen that book, but our theme this month is spring light reading. So either cozy mystery or light romance, something that's on the lighter side. And I know I say this a lot, but I definitely need to have lighter things with all the dark books that I read. So it's empty for now because of that. I do have a couple backup options for it as well. And the backup options also are not out yet. So it's going to be empty no matter what. But who knows? I might change my mind. I might not end up doing any of those and something else will present itself to me and then I will end up doing that. There are no guesses to be given other than the one that is my first choice. I have as an ARC, electronic ARC, which ARC is advanced reading copy. I want to read that, but who knows? I think me and Amanda both feel this way. I also, if I'm not feeling it, may end up DNFing and picking something else too. So there's always that option too. Keep an eye out for our secret vlog. We're going to be doing a lighter, either cozy mystery or romance. I guess even lighter fiction could fit that too. We will have that out in April.
Time to discuss our April secret read, and I'm really excited for our April secret theme this month. Jen came up with actually a couple of good themes, but we picked this theme because it's one we haven't done yet, and it really fits really well with the spring vibes. We are going to be reading a cozy read for our April secret TBR pick. That is a little bit out of our wheelhouse, okay? Jen and I both don't typically read cozy reads. I have been known to read a cozy mystery. I liked my Finley Donovan humorous mysteries. I have actually never read a cozy fantasy, and that's a little bit crazy because y'all know that fantasy is my favorite genre. I love it. I read romantasy, which is romance fantasy. I read grimdark fantasy. I read epic fantasy. I've even read a little sci-fi, which is obviously kind of connected with the fantasy genre, but never read cozy fantasy. It's never actually really appealed to me, but I am kind of in the mood, and I did get my hands on an ARC, a cozy fantasy ARC, that I think I am going to pick for my secret TBR pick. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's supposed to be a secret.
Another one I don't physically have with me. I plan on doing an audio. I originally had the electronic ARC for it. I'm gonna put it on the screen. It's called Claire Darling by Callie Kazumi. And I saw a couple rave reviews for it, and I just happened to run into it. I think it was like in my feed for Goodreads. It bumped it up on the list when someone was saying how much they loved it. I think they gave it 5 stars. So I thought, I did want to read that, but it has since come out and I don't have the electronic ARC anymore. Usually with those, depending, it usually expires once the actual book is out. So I did see it was on Hoopla, so I'm going to just listen to it since I do have more drive time now, and I look forward to listening to that. The premise, from what I remember, and I'm going to repeat the fact that I try as best as I can to get a shorter description of books and not know too much and going into them, because I like finding things out in the book. It's just how I enjoy books. I mean, there are certain things like other authors that I end up reading like the full description of what the book is and read up on exactly what it's about. I feel like Jodi Picoult is one of those authors for me that I like to know a lot more about what it's about. I don't feel like it ruins it per se. I think it's more thrillers that I tend to not want to know more, and this one technically is a thriller, a psychological thriller, but it's about a woman who finds out that her life is basically not what she thought it was. Her husband was not what she thought he was. Where he said he worked, she goes there to surprise him, and they don't know who she's talking about. And she starts digging and finding all kinds of things that she thought she knew about her life and is wrong. And she can't get a hold of him. He's ghosting her at the same time. So it sounded interesting as just that blanket premise. And as soon as I saw that review, I was won over by it, so I will report back and let you guys know how it is. Though I'm not doing a vlog for it, Amanda and I are going to be doing quarterly reviews. We're starting those this year, so also keep an eye out in April. I think this video will be out before we do a quarterly review, but we are going to be reviewing our January, February, March books that we haven't done for vlogs, and let you guys know what we're reading that you don't see us enjoying along the way. So keep an eye out for that too.
Y'all, in April, I am determined to get this book read. All of the fantasy booktubers, well, not all, but a lot of the ones that I follow, some, especially the bigger ones, have read this book and raved about it. And I have it here. I have an ARC here. And I have not read it yet, and it's killing me. I just have not had the time. I've been so busy reading books for vlogs and catching up on some things that I haven't had time, but I am getting to this book ASAP, and that is The Devils by Jo Abercrombie. I cannot wait to read this book and review it for y'all. I am going to do a separate standalone ARC review video for this book, and just stay tuned for that because I am so very, very excited. So very, very excited to read this book, and it's gonna happen in April.
Speaking of another book that I had as an electronic ARC, I had Tilt by Emma Patty, and I didn't get to it. There's a lot of ARCs that I don't get to electronically. Sometimes even the physical ones I don't get to just because there's so many and it's hard to, I don't get as much reading time. So I end up having things fall through the cracks. Now, electronic ones I'm not going to be able to access. I end up having to either do audio or the physical book. But at least the physical ARCs that I get, that's why I prefer to get physical ARCs, because I don't feel like I have such a timeline. I feel like I'm pressured when it's the electronic one, because unless you get it months in advance, it's just going to disappear. It's just the way publishers do it to protect the copyright. So for this one, I've been wanting to read for a while, and it's about an earthquake in California. There's a pregnant woman who is shopping for nursery items at an IKEA, and an earthquake happens. And it's a very severe earthquake that she ends up, like, phones are out, you can't drive anywhere, and she has to make the trek and journey home. And what is that like? I look forward to reading this. And again, this isn't a vlog, so it'll be on a quarterly review.
A book that I'm going to be finishing up in April is Sons of Darkness by Gaurav Mohathani. Y'all know I'm bad with names, okay? This book is grimdark. It is very, very grimdark. It is a little difficult to read, okay? The writing style is different than any other writing style I've read. The names of the characters and the places are very not familiar. And so sometimes when there are a lot of names or places that are really hard for you to pronounce, it can be cumbersome to kind of read through. But I'm telling you guys, if you can go slow with this book, take your time, really digest the story that is unfolding, being told, and these characters in the book, it is turning up to be a really, really good book. And I will tell you, the prologue in this book was amazing. If anything, borrow this book from your library and just read the prologue, okay? And I promise you'll want to keep reading. It was so good. I was mind blown with the prologue. One of the best prologues I think I've ever read. Something that's really helped me with this book is I was able to borrow the audiobook from Libby. So I've been listening to the audiobook while I've been reading, and that's really helped with, one, the pronunciation of words, and it's really helped me sort of differentiate the characters because the voice actor does a pretty good job. So I do recommend that. The story that's unfolding in here is pretty epic if you think you have the patience to really go slow with this book.
The next 3 books for my April TBR are all physical arcs. So the first one is Audition by Katie Kitamura. I haven't read this author before. This is fiction, and she has gotten a lot of praise for previous books, but I was going to read, I feel like it explains it better in this explanation than how I would be able to say in a different way. One woman, the performance of a lifetime or two, an exhilarating, destabilizing Mobius strip of a novel that asks whether we ever really know the people we love. 2 people meet for lunch in a Manhattan restaurant. She's an accomplished actress in rehearsals for an upcoming premiere. He's attractive, troubling, young enough to be her son. Who is he to her and who is she to him? In this compulsively readable, brilliantly constructed novel, 2 competing narratives unspool, rewriting our understanding of the roles we play every day: partner, parent, creator, muse, and the truths every performance masks, especially from those who think they know us most intimately. Hypnotic Audition is Katie Kitamura at her virtuosic best. So I feel like this is going to be a really interesting, I have definitely been wanting to read more fiction. I've seen a lot of rave reviews for both her and this coming out, so I definitely want to read this one in April.
Another book I'm really excited to get to, and this is also an arc, so I'm sorry y'all for all the arcs, but I just have so many good ones. I'm just so lucky to have so many good ones. Another one that I was so excited to get when I opened this book mail, my jaw hit the floor, and that is We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. Now, it has been a minute since I read Karen Slaughter, but I love her books. I've read the first couple of books in the Will Trent series. I've read The Good Daughter, and I read a couple more, but they're not coming to my head right now. She is a very dark, very violent, I guess, mystery writer. If y'all are familiar with the Will Trent series, and I haven't watched it on TV. I know it's a series on TV. I have not watched any of that, but he kind of helps solve very dark, gruesome crimes, and a lot of them are crimes committed against women. So I'm just putting that out there if that's something that bothers you, but I love it. I eat it up. I love her writing. It's very, very easy to read writing, but very dark, twisted mystery stories. And I can't wait to get to this one either. So hopefully I have enough time in April to read this book. It is coming out in August, so a little early for this, but I have my hands on it and I can't wait to read it.
So the next one, I can't tell you how excited I was to get this physical arc. I did have the electronic arc for this, but it's coming out really soon. I want to say it comes out in a week and a half. So I'm not sure I'm going to get it done in time to do an arc review. I mean, if it's close enough to the date, I guess I could still do an arc review. I have not read Jennifer Weiner yet. I don't think she pronounces it Weiner. I didn't look that up before I started recording, but This one is, I had this featured in our most anticipated for March and April, and it's called The Griffin Sisters' Greatest Hits. It's about sisters who end up becoming a very popular music band. I don't think it's just them. I think they end up like in a band, almost like a pop group, I guess you would call it. They are popular for about a year, and something happens that breaks up the whole band, and the sisters' relationship is forever changed. It jumps ahead in time, and I don't remember, it's enough time that one of the sisters actually has like a teenager, and that teenager really wants to know what happened with both that band and with her mom and her aunt. So she starts digging in to see what really happened. I love something about the premise. It's just kind of different, and it seemed really interesting to me. The final copy of this is going to have sprayed edges, and it looked really pretty. So that's what originally caught my eye to this book, and I can put on the screen so you can see what the final version is going to look like. I'm really happy because I get to read this, even if it gets pushed towards the end of April for whatever reason. I don't have any pressure to read it as soon as it comes out. And hopefully, if I get this read in April, I will try and do an ARC review, especially if I love it. So keep your eye out for that.
I want to talk about this duology right here. I recently read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Geelig. Loved it. 5 stars. Absolutely think everyone should go out and read it when the book comes out. So it has really, really got me wanting to read these 2 books. Jen read this book. She said she really thought that I was going to like it. And I have them both because at one time we planned on reading it and I bought both of them, but we ended up not reading them. And then moral of the story is I own both of these books and have not read them. And I absolutely love The Night and the Moth by this author. So really, really, really want to get started in these books. And I hopefully will have enough time to do that in April.
The last physical ARC me and Amanda both got, and this cover I feel is just really striking to me. Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. We do plan on doing a vlog for this in April. And the premise of this, though kind of similar to a couple books that in the past few years I feel I've really wanted to read, where there's someone who, and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo even has this premise, where someone is asked to ghostwrite or listen to someone's story and they can tell and finally tell the truth. This one is about a horror writer that when he was younger, there was a fire that 2 of his siblings ended up dying in. Everyone ended up blaming him, thinking he had something to do with it, and he never shook those allegations all through the fact that he was a successful horror writer. And now no one knows that he has a daughter, so his daughter ends up coming and being asked to write her father's story. The way it explains it, at first she thinks she's being asked to ghostwrite a horror novel for him, but it's actually the truth behind what really happened when he was a teenager. So that one sounds really interesting. It kind of gives that like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but even Emily Henry's new book, which I was really excited to get as an ARC, and I just started it, and I'll probably finish it in April. But that one also has 2 writers competing to write a famous, I want to say she is like an actress and kind of reclusive, and she finally wants to tell her story again, like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But this one is like a love story in Emily Henry's new novel because it's a competing male and female writer, and it's like Grumpy Sunshine. And the first chapter I read from that book is already sucking me in. But again, kind of the same premise, but a little different. This one seems like it's going to be darker. Obviously, Emily Henry is like romance. So look out for our vlog for this in April. Both of us will be reading this one.
We're doing a vlog on The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This is an ARC. It is going to be available, it says June 3rd of 2025. I do really kind of have high expectations for this book. I know it's probably going to jump back and forth in the timeline, and I'm prepared for that because anytime you're dealing with past events, current events, that's probably going to happen, and I'm trying to get more used to that. So I know that is going to happen, but I just really like the premise. I love the fact that you have this popular horror author and this daughter ghostwriter that just kind of writes in the shadows, and this family mystery dynamic. I'm just really excited for this book, and I can't wait to vlog it for y'all.
The next one's actually a little bit of an older novel. I know, surprise. I feel like I have been reading so much brand newly published that it's hard to get anything from like older books. And that's why I like when we do the TBR jar, because at this point, at least it's a little older when I'm finally picking it. And this one is one of my favorite authors ever. If you watch our channel, you might have seen I did an ARC review. I have it here, one second. I did an ARC review for The Strange Case of Jane O. 5 stars from me. Love this book. I've been talking about this book to a lot of people. It's just a very mesmerizing, haunting novel, is all I can say, without giving too much away, because I feel a lot of why I love this novel is you don't know much, and then you just keep finding things out throughout the story, and the ending just was heartbreaking. Love this author. Her first one is called Age of Miracle, one of my favorite books of all time. This one came out in hardcover in 2019, and it was very bad timing for me because that was the year I ended up having knee surgery, and I was moving I used to live closer to Cleveland. I ended up moving down closer to Dayton. I just ended up, my book, I don't even know where it went. I own a hardcover copy of this somewhere, and it's probably in a box. I couldn't find it. I ended up buying the paperback of it. I had started reading this, and something about her writing is just mesmerizing to me. I love how she writes. After I read that, it made me realize how much I wanted to finish this book. And at this point, I'm just going to start from the beginning because I think I was like halfway through it whenever I ended up having to put it down because we were moving. Can't wait to read this. And again, the plot is just very distinct. It's not a common plot point at all. There's like a sleeping sickness is the only way to say it, that there are several people that go to sleep and they're not waking up. And people are thinking like, is this some kind of disease that you can catch? Like, what's going on? And I don't know where it's going to take you. And that's why it's called The Dreamers, because these people, they're still obviously alive, almost like they're in comas or something, but they go to sleep, don't wake up, and they're dreaming basically. So I'm very curious to see what happens in this novel, and I can't wait to finally dig back into it.
We are going to vlog Spidertothefly.
Hey y'all, editing Amanda here. If you saw our March TBR, you might be having a few questions because yes, this did appear on our March TBR. Yes, we are pushing it to April, and yes, I am still really freaking excited about it. In fact, I've already read the first 10% of the book.
By jhmarkert. Oh, you guys do not know how excited I am for this book. It is on my tablet, not my Kobo, because I was given the electronic art by NetGalley, and I cannot get my NetGalley downloads to transfer over to my Kobo. Hey y'all, editing Amanda here. The day after I filmed this, I got a NetGalley newsletter in my email, and in that newsletter they said they were working with Kobo to be able to get the NetGalley ebooks on Kobo. So very excited. Apparently there's absolutely no way to get it on Kobo right now, but they are working on it. So very relieved and excited for this new update coming in the future with NetGalley, and just wanted to share with y'all in case you were also struggling with me. So yes, I am reading on the old tablet, and I'm just gonna put a picture of the cover up here because I don't have a cover on the eARC, and I cannot wait to read this book. In fact, I might talk to Jen and see if we can read this one next, because I'm really dying to get into it.
The last one, I just noticed that like all 3 of these covers kind of match, which I didn't intend, and it almost is like spring colors too, and I honestly didn't plan that. They're just very pretty. The last one I want to read is called The Antidote by Karen Russell, and it's kind of connected to Karen Thompson Walker because I was watching an interview as she was promoting The Strange Case of Jane O, and someone asked her what she was currently reading, and she said this book, and how she talked about it, I was like, okay, I need to read that. I feel like I'm very much fangirling for Karen Thompson Walker. She is now an author I really wish I could meet and talk to and get a signed copy, because she's just seems very intelligent. I love how her brain works, especially how she writes books. And now, knowing how much she enjoyed this one, I really want to read it. And it's such an interesting plot that I'm not going to do it justice, so I'm going to have to read it because I don't think there's a way for me to describe it as well. It says, fantastical, historical, supernatural, and miraculously faithful to the legacy of the nation's irradical past, The Antidote is a book ended by two real weather events that happened within months of each other in western Nebraska. The Black Sunday dust storm of 1935 and the flooding of the Republican River, which received 24 inches of rain within 24 hours. Within the confines of this shadow history, we meet a prairie witch who excels in the exile of memory and who calls herself the Antidote, having discovered her bleak magic at the age of 15 when her baby was stolen from her at a home for unwed mothers. Harp Oletsky, a farmer whose land remains strangely unharmed while the town around him is obliterated by dust and drought. Dell Oletsky, his niece, a motherless daughter in furious flight from her grief, player captain of a girls' basketball team abandoned by its sponsor, intent on making it to the playoffs while facing down the storm of the century. A voluble scarecrow, and Cleo Alfrey, a New Deal photographer whose time-traveling camera threatens to reveal both the town's secrets and its fate. I was like, there's so much going on in that description, and I don't know if I had just read that, if I would have actually said, yes, I want to read that book, but it was how Karen Thompson Walker talked about it. And it reminded me, like how she was describing it is how I would even describe her novels and why I love them so much. So that's why I had to buy this one, and I want to read this really bad, so I need to get to it in April.
If I have time after all of that, or if the mood just hits me and I can't not read it, I'm going to try to read Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru. I have seen this book everywhere. It sounds like a book I'm going to really enjoy. So it is one of my top priority TBR books. I hopefully will have time to get to it because I have been wanting to sort of understand what all the buzz is about with this book, and I own it. So why not, right?
It is a lot of books, but I did have even more last month, I think. I'm pretty sure I did anyway. It felt like I did. I am hoping that I am able to get to these. Unfortunately, there's only a couple of these that would necessarily be able to do audio, because audio is helping me now that I'm traveling to get through more of what I want to read. But who knows, maybe I'll get more of a chance this month to read. I really hope so. Let us know what is on your April TBR. Any of these strike interest for you? Are you reading any of these? Let us know in the comments. Would love to hear what you guys are reading out there. Thanks so much. Keep an eye out for our vlogs, and until next time.